I were talking about a story of my initial efforts at advocacy way back in 1984, when I actually joined AFJ, and I had just come back from Africa, but I'll save that for another time. It's a great story that speaks of the respect we have for some of the staffers who worked really hard for the Congress people and senators, although sometimes leaders can be harsh with them, and I was put in my place. Great story. But anyway, there are two things that I'd like to kind of frame my sharing in terms of my years with AFJN. As I mentioned, I joined as soon as I came back the second time from Africa as a young 34-year-old missionary who came back from a wonderful experience in Sierra Leone, who had something to say, but it got drowned by the advocacy that everyone was doing about South Africa. So I wanted to have something more. But what I learned, and what frames my being as an advocate, is that personal relationships are very important in anything and everything we do. So Bishop Smack's story is wonderful. Sending a brief doesn't cut it. He came personally to these walls to share the message. And that's what I learned and what I try to do. The second thing is, and I learned this in 1984 when I came back, people take stands on issues from where they sit. And we have sat in some very interesting, sometimes compromising, always learning experiences. And our stands reflect where we sit. The strength of that is that people in these buildings respect us for that. They may not always agree, but they do listen because we take stands from where we sit. So having said that, in 2006 I was approached by the chair of the board to consider being the executive director. I was approached 4 times since 1999 when I came back, and was a recipient of the first AFJN award. So I think it was payback. We were waiting. And finally I did ask my community, they gave me the go-ahead, and I moved in September of 2006. At the time, there was a great engagement of youth because the chair of the board was a poli-sci teacher at Notre Dame. He had got a AFJN college chapter with students from Notre Dame who were going to Uganda for their experience, coming back, and they wanted to get into the issues of the war in Gulu. And we actually birthed a group called Uganda Can from AFJN that actually spun off into a separate NGO called Resolve Uganda first and then Resolve. So there was a lot of energy when I came, but it was also one issue. And we were more than the one issue, child soldiers or the issues in Gulu. And the SMA fathers were very happy that I was the director because they thought West Africa would have more of a spotlight. And I really tried the first year just to respect all the members and all the issues. What I found as a strength was how, as Mara mentioned, we work in coalition with so many other groups. We then and now continue to be the chair of the Catholic Task Force on Africa that meets every month. We participated in an ecumenical group called ADNA, and I forget what the acronym means now. There it is, African Network. Advocacy Network for Africa. There it is. We were one of the founders, AFJN, of Congo Global Action. Because what we saw was, we talked about the diaspora here, and the voice they try to offer to the conversation. But when we go to some of those think tanks here in the city, the African voices are never heard nor respected. So we wanted to facilitate an organization where the Congolese voice would be heard. And we founded Congo Global Action. We also worked with Jubilee, I see Eric here, very closely when it came to vulture funds. Because again, we couldn't really carry all those different issues, but in collaboration with others, we could give our little bit and engage our membership in working with the other groups to push these bigger agendas. Mara mentioned being present and writing the book on the first African Synod. The second African Synod happened while I was director, and I also went and spent the month there in Rome as a journalist. I had press credentials, so I was able to write each day. In our day, it was a blog. I found out that I was the only English blog covering the Synod. But it was interesting to see who was following it. Many on the continent, but many in other parts of the world. Japan, China, Indonesia. It was incredible. There was only one full-time press person from the continent, from one of the Francophone African countries. None of the other countries could afford to have a press person in Rome. So how do we get the message out? That's who we were through that. In terms of the priority areas, when I came back to the States in '99, I worked in Sierra Leone. I was in Sierra Leone during the war. I was wounded by a child soldier who was killed the next day because he shot a priest. So I brought that, in a sense, to my advocacy. So when AFRICOM came to be during the Bush administration, we were the first to resist militarization in Africa. We were alone. We were alone. After 2 or 3 years, others began to come on board, but it was in a sense too late. But that's who we were. Not just because of me, but because of all of us who were at that time in one of the 22 wars on the continent in 1999. Another thing we worked on was restorative justice. Researching the indigenous ways that African peoples resolve conflicts. They don't all have to buy a copy of Yes, Get Into Yes from Harvard. In fact, if they do, it doesn't work. So AFJM began an initiative that has yet to actually spin to conclusion on showing the world, or at least us, or at least those who work in these walls, that there are alternative ways of getting to a resolution respecting indigenous forms. And that book is yet to come out. But we researched it in 6 African countries. We took notes. We had professionals also contribute, and it'll be in the bookstores soon. We did spend some time also together in ecumenical advocacy days, raising the abuse of children through child soldier. One of my confreres who comes from Rwanda, who worked in Sierra Leone with me, is convinced that there's a network throughout the continent of the abuse and use of children in war. We had children fighting in Sierra Leone from Burkina Faso. We know there are Sierra Leonean students fighting in Congo. What's going on? Who's behind it? There were a couple of issues that we worked on, like health, PEPFAR. And again, myself and Bahati or Beth couldn't do all of that. We relied on our interns. So many times interns came with an expertise that we could really milk and then provide to our membership through our newsletters and now through the social media to really expand our research and our perspective and analysis on those issues. So those are the main ones that we were working on while I was in the hot seat. I have to say, I give Mara and Ezekiel a lot of credit because in 1994, as I prepared to return to Sierra Leone, I was on sabbatical and I spent a day each week for 4 months here in Washington, understudying Mara and understudying Kajibu. So when I became director, my dream was to clone Kajibu. And I think I did. Not only with the hiring of Bahati, but look at the office now. There were 4 from the continent who are in the office in Washington, serving us, leading us in AFJM. So it's a great thing. And when we were at Trinity University, 30% of the women of color in that university were from the continent, and many of them we invited into our offices as interns from Nigeria, from Congo, from Sierra Leone, and other countries. And they brought a perspective and a touch that really helped us in our advocacy. The other thing is, apart from trying to encourage more college AFJM chapters, we did set in motion, we weren't all that successful, but it's there, it might be picked up. Again, advocacy, it's not just here in the city. I truly believe that advocacy is local. I'm from Massachusetts. Tip O'Neill said all politics is local. So how can we get on a parish level or on a community organization level advocacy happening? So the staff at the time and the board, we put together some material that would help parishes who twin in Africa better understand what they're doing, so it doesn't turn into a neo-colonization, which in some cases it does, but really become true advocacy. Because advocacy has to be local, advocacy has to be on the ground, and it has to go beyond development. So I did my best, and in 2011 I was asked to go back, and now I have 4 full-time jobs, and I love it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, as in the interest of time, I'm going to invite the next panelist to come up, and we have they are all very familiar to us. So I will start by inviting Eric Lockhart, who is the Executive Director of Jubilee USA. Eric, please. And then I call Shasha Ledman, who is the Deputy Director of Policy at Enough Project. And Faustine, who is the Senior Policy Advisor at Management Health for Health. What we are doing with this session, we are going to have a discussion kind of. We are going to talk about issues of finance, of lending, of sanctions, you know, how it works, and what are